Tonight we get to hear from some familiar faces all about Haven Hills foster care community. So get your questions ready, right? Um, Housekeeping items, bathrooms that way, bathrooms out this door if you need them. If you need to pay your annual dues, we'll take your money, $20 per family. So you can get that to me tonight. Michaela is gone, so I'll take your money tonight. What? Oh, that's fine. You can give it to anyone named Leslie in the room, and I think we're safe. And if you need a Venmo option, let us know and we can make that happen. But I'm not going to introduce you because we know you.
So I had to write these notes down. Otherwise, as I learned, I go down a rabbit hole and I could talk forever. So I'm just going to kind of share a little bit of what my vision was of Haven Hills, and then I'll pass it to Shawna and she'll kind of explain a couple things. And then we'll go over some board members that we have joining us. And then we'll talk about some of the stuff over on our display table over there. So just want to say welcome and thank you guys all for coming. It is May, which is Foster Parent Appreciation. So we do appreciate each and every one of you guys. I've been a foster parent for just about 5 years, and I'm also the vice president of this Region 7 Foster Care Association, which another thing, I'm the national sales trainer for a medical device company. So education is a very important part of my life, along with finding solutions to many issues that arise. As a foster parent, I hear the issues and struggles from other foster parents, from social workers, and from foster kids, mostly teenagers that are from my house. My goal was to find a solution of these many issues. Foster parents say that they don't have the resources, the tools, and they sometimes feel like they're on an island all by themselves. And sometimes they just need to vent or step away for a quick hour to regroup, which it's hard to do when you're off on that island by yourself. Social workers say they're busy running kids to school, therapies, doctor's appointments, eye appointments, dentist appointments, visitations with bio parents. Am I getting close, Peggy? A lot, which their actual job is not only the foster kids, but the bio parents, to provide the bio parents with the tools and resources that they need to succeed and get their kids back. But they don't always have time to do that because they're running our foster kids around. And as far as the foster kids, they are challenged with being lost in the education world. They're overlooked many times. Not being able to create lasting friendships because they're having to change locations so often. Also, no one to teach them the life skills like cooking, cleaning, driving, financial counseling, and other everyday living challenges. So one day, as I was working with my medical device company, I was training a young man, and he's from Oklahoma. And when he came onto screen, this was during virtual world, and when he came on screen, he's like, oh, thank goodness. I was really hoping that I was going to get you because I heard you're a foster parent. And I was like, okay. So he started talking about Pepper's Ranch. And I was like, this is exactly what I have envisioned for our community. So I started telling him what I was kind of looking forward into providing for the community that I lived in. And then we kind of just bounced ideas off of Pepper's Ranch. So I had a plan to fix these issues right here in our hometown. I started praying about this mission and started talking with Shawna, and she was all in. She loved the plan and she loved the idea. So we started putting the plan into motion, thankfully, with her by my side. She did all of the paperwork. We really had like brainstorming sessions that were they were phenomenal. So we approached Mikey Hoven first, right? And we just asked basically like if the community would support something like Haven Hills. And Mikey was pretty much for it. So then we went to Corey Peterson and Sarah Stoltz. And Corey, after we kind of told him what our vision was, he kind of dropped his jaw and he said right away, he's like, I want two. And he's like, I want one on the east side of the state and one on the west side of the state. So we're like, well, there's only two in the whole United States, one in New York, and that's only geared towards teenagers, and then the one at Pepper's Ranch, which that's basically like one founder. I'll kind of go into details on that. But so we're like, Corey, we live in Bismarck. Let's just get one centrally located, right? And so we knew that we were going to have the community support. We knew we were going to have state support. So then as we started putting things into motion, we started trying to like do name searching. And I'll actually let Shawna kind of talk a little bit about this, but how we kind of came up with the name.
I don't think it's that exciting, but we were, I mean, obviously, if you do this sort of community, you need space. And so Amber does have a lot of space, and then she has her brother next door who has a lot of space as well. So we just talked about that could be an opportunity, and their area is kind of the Rolly Hill kind of area. That's where the hills came from. And then the Haven was just, as we kind of thought about this being a safe haven for children and for foster parents as well, because, you know, all the resources that the kids need, the foster parents need the help and support and everything too. So just being that safe haven kind of place, along with our landscape, and came up with Haven Hills. So.
Awesome. So then, sorry, lo and behold, we had the name, right? So then Shawna started filling out all of the paperwork, which there was oodles and oodles and oodles of paperwork. She filled out paperwork with the state, so we locked in our name. She did the website, locked in the website, and then like, I don't know if you guys have ever filled out a 501c3, but I have a hard time even saying it, let alone filling it out. Shawna did all of that paperwork with it. And actually, she had to do it twice because at first we were Haven Hills LLC, and then we learned through the process that we had to be Haven Hills Inc. So not only did she do it once, but she did it twice. So then after we had the name, we had some paperwork filled out. We started gathering some people, and lo and behold, we had a board. So with us today is Chris Ann Miller, Peggy Netzer, and Leslie Reisenauer. And Joe Roloff, which is holding the baby. I was looking for you, and then I saw the baby's head. And Joe Roloff. So again, as things were just moving in motion, it was crazy and happening so super fast. And we had a name, we had a website, we had a board. Like this was just going forward. And it seemed like every person that we talked to just said positive things. Like they're like, this is what the community needs. This is what foster parents need. This is what, you know, it was a big need, right? We all know that. So, so now I'm going to talk about a little bit of what Haven Hills will have to offer. And actually, Leslie, can you kind of go through some of the slides? Because, and thank you to Leslie Reisenauer for providing some of these slides, but as you can see, this is our logo. And again, we appreciate you guys. Thank you. It's May. So what Haven Hills is, so we have a vision, a mission, all of that stuff, and all of the resources over on the table, but providing a supportive, safe, and nurturing environment for foster families and biological families they serve. Okay, the need. So I think you guys are kind of aware of this, but there's about 1,500 children in foster care on any given day just in North Dakota. Just locally within just Burleigh County, there's 190 on a given day, and there's only 70 licensed foster homes. So, and yep, right there. Sorry, sorry, I jumped ahead. The current annual trend shows that for every 10 homes that are recruited and licensed for foster care, 9 of them are lost and discontinued. So again, this is a huge reason why I think Haven Hills will be instrumental in helping retain a lot of those foster parents, because we're going to offer that support and that community environment where we're going to be able to bounce ideas and help off of each other in one location. Recruiting, retaining foster parents is obviously a challenge, we know that. So for the foster youth, often many challenges and need additional services can be daunting to navigate. So again, you know, if we have a kiddo who needs our attention, but we have 3 other foster kids in the home, we have that neighbor right next to us that can maybe step in or help. So with Haven Hills, I should back up a little bit. With Haven Hills in phase 1, what we are looking to do is purchase the land, my 40 acres and my brother's 40 acres, which has 2 established homes and a horse barn. We're going to offer equestrian therapy. And then my husband and I, on our property, we have a 60 by 80 steel building that we would just finish off for, I kind of call it like a multi-purpose room. So lots of just activities, basketball, volleyball, roller skating, jump roping, potlucks, really anything that we can host inside there. And then along with phase 1, not only purchasing the land, but building, breaking ground on 6 new homes, which we have the blueprints from the construction company over there. So if you guys want to take a look at them. And then with those 6 homes, we'll build a resource building, which will have like a boardroom, 2 offices, movie theater room, just kind of a getaway for some of these kids. So another thing, we're going to have an environment created for these kids to support foster kids, foster parents, so on and so forth. So the support, it can be difficult for foster families to receive support since they're only a small group of people who understand the peaks and valleys of foster care, right? So like I said before, we just may need to step aside for an hour, have that glass of wine in the closet, right? But we need to not let those kids, sorry, Peggy, close your ears. Have that glass of wine in the closet, but have, our kids supervised, right? So we have that next door neighbor, we have these resources, we have, help all over the place within our community. Well, I don't know what is in that water jug there. It might be water, right? Yeah. Experience recruiting new foster families is important, but research has shown to retaining the foster parents to be the one of the single most powerful ways to dramatically improve the quality of healing for kids in care. This is due to the knowledge that can come from numerous years of experience and education as foster parents. So one thing that we did learn from Pepper's Ranch is, let me explain Pepper's Ranch. So it's one guy who saw the need in Oklahoma that these teenagers were walking around the streets homeless. And he knew of a couple people that were just taking these kids in their smaller homes and, trying to do the best for these kids. So he had some land and he built 2 homes and he told these people, you live in these homes and take care of these kids, right? So, then this guy found, I don't remember his name. Do you remember his name? He had some rich friends, so he elbowed them and he said, hey, you build a house. And then he elbowed someone else and said, hey, you build a house. So Pepper's Ranch currently consists of 420 acres, 16 homes, and about 134 foster kids, okay? Also, the thing about Pepper's Ranch is they have a waiting list. Applications are stacked up every year when it comes to applying to live out there. And really, they don't have hardly any of the activities that we've kind of decided that we're going to put out at Haven Hills. They have their normal therapies and they send their kids to school, that type of thing. But we're going to try to hopefully have equestrian therapy. I've been working with some NASCAR people. They're going to put a go-kart track there so we can teach these teenagers how to drive. In a safer environment with rubber tires to bounce off of, I guess. I have a couple connections with some football players that are very supportive. Josh Damal is a huge supporter. His fiance, Audra Mari, is a huge supporter, she was Miss World International something in 2016. We've already gotten some donations. Dakota Community Bank is a big sponsor and a big help. They actually are giving the profits to Haven Hills on July 4th's Larks game. They will auction off a jersey, and the jersey can raise anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. And Dakota Community Bank said that Haven Hills would be the recipient of all of that then. So we have a lot of support, guys. So stay tuned. Leslie? Sorry, I know I can go down those rabbit holes. I'm sorry. This will be accomplished by having a supportive community environment for foster parents and their families, on-site services and programs for foster families and their foster children, an environment that embraces relationships between foster families and biological families they serve, an available multicultural resource, education, and activities. So with this, again, we're not going to only be able to help and support the other foster families, right? We're going to bring in multicultural stuff. So we'll have every month, we'll have different, what's that gal's name?
I think it was Harmony Bercier. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but yeah, we envision having her or another cultural liaison come out and not just I think it's easy to kind of get on that Native American culture just because that's such a heavy need in our community, but whatever kids are out there, whatever their culture is, finding resources for them, finding activities, finding ways to bring that culture in and making that a part of our community.
So not only with the cultural side of things, the education side of things, right? So one of my dear friends is the owner of Sylvan Learning School, and she's already sent us a whole bunch of grants that we can get some funding for some education programs. So, if these kiddos are not able to sit in that social environment, we are going to be able to offer education out at Haven Hills for them. Or maybe they go to therapy that morning and they really just can't focus back at school and they just need to come out to Haven Hills. So then we just work with their education out there and kind of keep things moving along. Eventually, I think we would like some sort of daycare setting kind of set up, because we know, I mean, just like you guys, we all have jobs and work also. So we're going to try to get some sort of childcare provided out there, along with, we happen to have a board member who is the owner of Little Lights Therapy, and she will be helping us set up, she will be, all the moms are running. Someone's crying, all the moms are running. So with Chris Ann being the owner of Little Lights Therapy, she has a lot of connections with OT, PT, speech, and there's a big awareness going on right now with mental health therapy. One of my good friends' daughters just attempted. So that is very important, that we definitely bring mental health therapy and along with equestrian and OT, PT, and speech out to Haven Hills, along with education through Sylvan Learning School. So again, we have lots of contacts, lots of information that's going to be coming. But a thing with the multicultural resource, part of that resource building that we're going to build, I think is going to be somewhat of a little area where like kind of like a meditation, or not necessarily like Christian or something like that, but some sort of meditation area for families and kids to go to. Okay, so the project is an 80-acre development, approximately 12 homes. Actually, it's about 10 miles. I was reading 12 miles, but anyway, it's about 10 miles north of town, 12 homes for foster families, and additional space for biological families and grandparent homes, and a community building. A central office, additional services to conduct supportive, safe, and nurturing environments for foster parents and their families. This will be the only initiative of this kind in the state of North Dakota and the second such facility in the United States. So with that resource building that I was talking about, we're also going to do like I'm going to call it like a little efficiency house, because we can have supervised visits out there instead of into the actual foster homes. Social worker can come out, grab the kiddo from the foster home, go into the efficiency apartment, but it'll be nicer than that. Also within that resource building, we're going to have somewhat of a bigger area, like a rest area, like a bathroom type thing, but for kiddos that are coming in with lice, and we just have a beauty salon chair type thing. Yeah, what is it? Like, yeah, beauty shop chair, and like a sink and that kind of thing, a washer and dryer to wash some of their stuff, so that it's not brought into the foster homes. What else did I miss? Oh, so the grandparent homes and the biological families. So this is later on, as we're getting through the program and through the phases, but we're gonna try to have, I kind of refer to them as like tiny homes, and we're gonna try to have a set of grandparents to kind of live out there. We're thinking maybe like some snowbirds or something that could come through the summertime with us and then winter down in Arizona or Florida or whatever, and put them in the role of grandparents, like exactly where they need to be. Like teach these kids, shoot a BB gun and go fishing, and grandma to do some gardening, or I know it sounds cheesy, but even like crocheting or knitting. I mean, all of that stuff has been lost, right? But like cooking and all of the different things that a grandma loves to do, right? I mean, everyone else can love to do that too, but we just really want to put them in a grandparent role, because a lot of these foster kids don't see that generational part of stuff. Okay. Good yet? Okay. How many more slides do we have? That's it? Oh, okay, here we go. All right, so our goal, I kind of touched on this again, to provide many services on site as possible, but not limited to occupational, physical, and speech, mental health therapy, education support, and tutoring. So Sylvan Learning Center is going to help out with some of that. Multicultural education, meditation and prayer space, art and music space, bowling alley, movie theater, multi-purpose gymnasium, gardening spaces, mechanic shop, swimming pool, go-kart track, equestrian therapy stables, on-site daycare, and outdoor playground. Structure and operations. So Haven Hills will be a community of united foster families, making it their mission to care for foster children until they can reunite with their biological families or obtain permanency through adoption. There will be an extensive vetting process to become a foster family at Haven Hills. We will require families to be licensed foster homes with good standing, willing to bring in at least 4 foster youth placements into their home, and to be in good financial standing. If approved, housing would be provided at a minimal cost so that the families are able to better support the youth in their care. The minimum residency term of 1 year with a goal of multiple years. So again, you guys are basically like leasing these houses for very, very minimal cost to what they actually cost. They're brand new buildings, so they're gonna be gorgeous. And your requirements are to have at least 4 youth in your home, or 4 foster youth in your home. So if you have biological kids, or if you have adopted kids, it's going to be 4 foster youth. We have to kind of, the process or the goal is to provide better care for foster children, right? With that, I was going to mention one more thing, but then I had a brain fart. I don't know. Did I miss anything on that one, Leslie? No? Okay. All right. Next, sorry, Leslie 1. So the project costs. What? Yeah. So the project costs. I know these numbers look really big. It's okay. It is a little scary, but remember, like, this is over a time period, and this is a lot of homes, and these are big homes and big projects. So the prep in the purchase and the prep of the land, little over 2.5 million. New building construction as far as phase 1, for you guys can obviously read this, but it takes a little bit to get started, right? Like, we've gotten some donations already. So for phase 1, we're in that phase right now. Purchase and prep of the land, build 6 to 9 homes, office, community center, building, recruit, interview, and select foster families to become part of the community. Partner with existing community support services, and the goal to provide as many on-site services as possible. For phase 2, so we're looking at January of 2023 to about July. Additional homes built, providing like those grandparent dwellings and community center expansions. Phase 3, again, is going to be like from July 2023 to July 2024, focus on furthering relationships and offering services to biological families, building those reunification plans and having projects and places to do that, right? Setting these parents up for success for when they get their kids back, right? Because a lot of times they don't know how to be good parents, and if we have our whole community being able to support them, then hopefully we can get them going. Hold on, what's that up there? Okay, don't need to read that, I guess. So this is kind of what the layout is. This was a very generic from the very beginning, so we've already kind of wanted to tweak a little bit of it, but that's my property up there, and this is my brother's property. So he has 40 acres, and then I have 40 acres. So then we would build the homes in between, and actually like right there, right here would be kind of where the resource building would be, kind of in the center of everything. Yeah, and this is kind of the goal with the whole project being done. Okay. I know it's a cheesy color, and I told them, I'm like, can you put any other color? But everyone's like, it's not the color that matters. But it's going to be 1 level and full basement homes. As far as like things that we've kind of looked at, I know, again, they're silly, but you have to look at everything when you're starting projects like this. So I don't want a lot of dressers, right? Because we don't want kids to crawl up dressers and fall off, right? So everything is built in. Shelves are built in, bookshelves are built in, all of that kind of stuff. Another sounds cheesy thing, but like bull nose corners instead of like flat on corners, because we don't need stitches on head, hence my stitches and scar on my head. Learned from experience. So different kind of things that we're looking at for the home. Very big, wide open floor plans, right? Each home will come with a dining room table, which, as Shawna says, enough to feed 10, 12, something like that, a lot. So a large dining room table, bar stools, living room furniture, and then all of the beds will be provided. So again, there's no dressers, no nightstands, no nothing like that. You guys, whoever moves in or comes to the property, you can decorate however you want to decorate. If you want dressers, then you can totally have dressers. It's your home. Once you're leased there, you can do with what you want with it. Well, not what you want with it, but there's not a lot of like rules, I guess. You would just treat it as it's yours and make it comfortable and living for you, but we want to be able to provide the necessities that you need, right? Like you need beds for these kids, you need a place for them to eat, right? So, wow. Am I talking too much? You don't want me to talk all this much or what? Establish a haven in our community. It takes an entire community of people to intentionally care for a child in foster care. Haven Hills will provide a more stable foster care environment to dramatically improve the healing and growth of youth in foster care and their entire family unit. Foster families who take care of these kids will receive access to valuable support and resources. They will help break the cycle of trauma and brokenness within our community. So what I want to kind of comment on how we're going to support each other also is, like, let's say, for instance, Joe and Lane live in one home, okay? And they get a youth in their home that's just not clicking with the other youth in their home, or they're not clicking with Joe, or which is hard to believe because everyone clicks with Joe, but maybe they're not clicking with Joe, right? And, and Crystal is in the home right next door. And the youth that came into Joe's house is really clicking with Crystal, right? And they're really clicking with the youth in Crystal's house. Well, Joe just makes a phone call to Peggy and say, hey, John Doe is now going to stay at Crystal's home. And we can do that within the community and set these kids up for better success, right? Because not only, they're laughing at me already. Well, it's that simple when we're living right next to each other. You just fill out the paperwork however you need to fill it out. But for us and for making our lives easier and happier and less arguments and less struggles, it could be as simple as that. So that's why, with the community, we can definitely support and use each other as resources and tools. So I can speak to the respite piece of that. Thank you. Are we? As Corey just smelt the baby's butt that I have to take or get to take tomorrow. All right, so let's talk for a second on respite and alternative right now, okay, this current day. Shawna goes out of town to, let's say, I don't know, Florida on a vacation for a week. And she has 4 littles in the house. We're just gonna pretend 4, okay? And she has 4 littles in the house. And it's just her and her hubby going to Disney World. So she packs up all 4 of those kids. 2 of those kids are in diapers. Let's say, for instance, 2 of those kids are on bottles and formula. And I don't know, one's got allergies, so we have to have this medicine. And we got all of these other things that come with these kids, right? So she packs up these kiddos for 7 days, and car seats and pack and plays and bouncers and everything else, right? And brings them all of the stuff to my house. I'm doing respite care or alternative care at this point because, yeah, okay, whatever. Anyway, so we're doing alternative care for her at this point. And so I have all of the stuff at my house, right? Let's say I'm a terrible foster mom and the kids are dirty and they don't get baths and maybe they got an ear infection and I don't take them in and I don't do any of the laundry and, it's just horrible. And Shawna comes and she gives me the paycheck because I was doing alternative care, okay? And now she goes back, and I didn't abide by nap times, I didn't abide by, bed times, nothing, right? So Shawna comes back from her glorious vacation and she has all of the dirty laundry to do. She now has sick kids. She now has kids that have been not necessarily traumatized, but their schedules and their routines have all been shaken up, right? They're sleeping in strangers' beds. They're not getting the appropriate sleep that they need because I wasn't, abiding by the nap times and whatever else, right? So alternative care is when you work out the payment between each other, right? Now Shawna is like, I'm never using that lady again, right? So then she's like, I really need a break. And she calls Peggy with these foster kids because they're Peggy's. And she's like, Peggy, I really need a break from these kids. Like, I just had a vacation, but I really need a break. So Peggy's like, okay, I'm going to set up respite care. So respite care is set up through the social worker, and it's when the foster parents need an actual break. Okay. So then Shawna, has to pack up all the kids and do all that stuff again. But then they go to Joe's house, and Joe fixes everything because she's amazing at everything. Does all the laundry. She does all the laundry. She gets everything taken care of. The kid had an earache. Well, Joe took the kid to the doctor, whatever else. Anyway, so that's respite care. Okay. So respite care is worked out through the social worker. And the payment comes from the county or PATH or whoever, state. And alternative care is just like a babysitting job, okay? But what I'm trying to get my point across is respite and alternative care out at Haven Hills will look different. So Joe and Lane live out at Haven Hills, okay? And they need daycare because they have a family reunion and they're gonna go for 5 days. And Crystal doesn't live out at Haven Hills, but she is a licensed foster parent. So Crystal actually moves into Joe and Lane's house. The kids in Joe and Lane's home do not have to sleep in any other bed. They sleep in their own bed. They have their own routine. They have their own schedule. They're in their own environment. Joel gives Crystal the lowdown of, hey, this kid's allergic to this. Here's all of his medicine. Joel does not have to pack up any of the kids. She doesn't have to, communicate as far as, packing everything up and getting it out to the person who's going to take care of the kiddos, right? So also with that, there was one other thing I was going to say. What else is? Yeah. Right. And yep. So we're not uprooting the kids again, right? And then another thing, like Crystal's an amazing foster mom, and she maybe loves to do like some meal prepping or some baking or something, and cooking and cleaning and everything else. So she can do that there. So then when Joe and Lane come home from their vacation, they have a true vacation. They're not so worried about, cooking and cleaning and picking up all the mess and everything else, right? So did that answer the question? Gotcha. It is a perk. Yeah. Yep. Okay, do I have more? So you ask, how can I help? Anyone? Yes, you can. All right, you can give towards the establishment of Haven in our community. Donate towards establishing a haven in our community. Oh my goodness, I've been talking too much. You can pray for our organization and our community of foster parents. Volunteer your skills and your action, or for your actions, and stay connected. So we do have a website. We are on Facebook. So you can definitely, and you can call us. But yeah, please share our message, share our vision, share what we want to have happen in our community. Well, we will have happen in our community. And the more people that we can have fighting for us, I think the more people will definitely see the need of foster care and be able to kind of help financially with it. So, okay, now I'm going to hand it over to Shawna, but if the board members want to come up and share their wonderful experience so far. And if anybody has any questions, definitely ask, because we need questions. Can't make this better, guys.
Yeah, and I'll just share quick while they're all coming up. I've been a foster parent for about 5 years too, and we typically have had longer term placements, and we typically also take a lot. We usually have four foster kiddos. We've gone over that a time or two, but it just winds up being a lot, and a lot of our kids are young that we take, and so it's exhausting. It just is. And then all the I mean, we're all foster parents, the ups and downs of the journey and everything we go through with everything, right? So for me, like the most appealing, like, yes, we want to help the kids. And that definitely is a need, but we also as foster parents and foster families, and not just like me, who's, you know, the main, I don't know, speaker, advocate for our family, but like my husband and my kids who often don't get thought about, right? But like as a family, we need that support and to just be in that community environment with other people who understand. So when we're really stressed out and going through those tough times, we've got a community of people right there to support us and help us through it. So anyone else?
I kind of got roped into this. Oh, okay. I was blessed to be part of this group. No, Amber had approached me, and for years I always joked about a commune. I thought a commune would be awesome. And when she came to me, I said, "Oh, just like a commune," and so we joke about that. But I've just always thought that I think that's a great. I mean, you think about our grandparents who grew up on farms and had aunts and uncles next door, and everybody shared the responsibility, and that's kind of what we're trying to probably recreate a little bit, more that, I don't know, grassroots type feeling with our kids. And so I agreed. I thought about it for a few days, and then I said, sure, I'd love to be on board with this. I'm kind of just a silent partner at this point. I'm more of a worker than not a, but anyway, so no, I really, yeah, I do like, I love the idea of it, and I love the fact of the support of it and making it easier for foster parents, for our social workers. I mean, there again, they can come to one area, they can do family visits, multiple kids at one time. Therapy is the same thing. You know, they can come to one area, do a lot of different, and they can have multiple kids at one time doing OT, PT, and so that's kind of why I'm on board.
Well, Joe got roped into. So I'll just explain how I got asked, gratefully asked. I was sitting in the parking lot of an apartment complex actually when Amber called me right off Century Avenue. I remember this. She had called me last year and said, hey, I think one of my therapists had given her my number, and she's like, I have this idea, Chris Ann. And I'm like, okay, great. So we talked for, I think, an hour and a half. And so so we had this wonderful conversation. And so our practice is a good 80 to 90% of foster kids and their families in our therapies. And so I have really grown to love this population, the families we serve, the kids we serve, the social workers we work with. It's kind of become a heart song and a passion of mine. And so when Amber said, he asked me if I would, like, my thoughts on this, I said, yes, whatever we can do, whatever I can do, like, please let me know. As therapists, we want the holistic approach. We want support. We want our families to feel supported, our kids to feel supported. So I'm like, yeah, this is right up my alley, right? And so I said, yep, let me know whenever things come along, just let me know. And so she called me again and said, we're doing it. Will you? Yep, absolutely. So I was blessed to be asked and privileged to be asked, and I'm really happy to see this going forward. And I think this could be a wonderful, wonderful thing for our community and for our state. I think it's much needed. So to help our families and our kids.
Doesn't matter. She might try to grab the mic. My name is Leslie. I've been licensed for a little over 4 years, and so a little over 4 years ago, just when I got licensed, I saw a video about Pepper's Ranch, and I was like, oh my gosh, where is this place located? This place is amazing. We need something like this in North Dakota. And every so often, and I'd follow them on Facebook and all these things, and it's always just been like, this would be so cool to have here, but oh my gosh, it looks like a ton of work, and I don't know anybody who has millions and millions of dollars. and whatever. And I was like, whatever. But always in the back of my head. And then one day Amber called me and she was telling me about Haven Hills. And then I was like, this sounds like, have you ever heard of Pepper's Ranch? This sounds like Pepper's Ranch. She's like, yeah, you're the first person who I've told this idea who knows what Pepper's Ranch is. And I was like, yeah, because it's awesome. And so I was like, I'm like, but you're going to do that here? And I'm like, oh my word. And I was like, well, keep me updated. I'm super interested. And then a little time passed and she came back around and was like, okay, we're doing it. Shawna started the paperwork. We need board members. What do I need to do to convince you to be a part of this? And I said, respite eternally. Just kidding. No. Yeah. But so I'm on the board and been helping with a lot of different things, and very thankful to be a part of this team. And just one of the things I wanted to share with you guys through my experience so far. Oh, she's actually been doing pretty dang good. We're a busy beaver. We just started daycare the other week. Otherwise, we've been at work with mom for months and months, and I don't get much done. And it just, like, God is amazing. And I heard a long time ago with some of my other projects I've done in ministry and with nonprofits is if it's God's will, it's God's bill. And I fully believe in that with Haven Hills. These numbers, like initially it's like holy buckets, but it's like, nope, it's gonna happen. It's like, it's done. And just really felt like we're not painting a picture for something that could be or that we'd like for it to happen. Like, we're really casting the vision for something that will be. And we want to invite you guys to be a part of that, not just because you are foster parents and we're here to support you guys and support each other, but this is really for the growth and the health of our community. And I really believe those that choose to do foster care, they want a healthy community and they want chains to be broken. They want families to be restored, and they just want just better health in the area and their community and to families and things like that. And so that's one of the biggest reasons I'm a part of this, and why I've also been a foster parent for over 4 years. I know that's not a ton of time compared to some people, but also compared to the statistics, it's 4 years longer than a lot of people.
Peggy Netzer. For anyone who doesn't know, I am a foster care case manager for Burleigh County. Most of you, I either have had kids in your homes or I've called you this week. It's only Tuesday, but I'm not even lying. So when Amber first learned about Pepper's Ranch, I happened to have a home visit scheduled, and she said, have you heard about this? And told me a little bit about it, and I went back and looked it up, and yeah, it's amazing. So if you haven't looked at Pepper's Ranch yet, you totally should Google that. And then a lot of time passed, and Shawna was taking a vacation, except she didn't actually go anywhere. She stayed home and did all the paperwork for Haven Hills. Yeah, they were at alternative care because she was on vacation, but it was for a good purpose. So he went by himself. So after that, it kind of picked up some momentum, right? It's official at that point. Once you fill out the paperwork, it's official. This is happening. Somewhere along the line, someone in this room, I'm not gonna point fingers, told Amber and Shawna that I have a background in grant writing and fundraising. And so then I was approached. I was approached to help figure out how we're gonna pay for things, really. But also from the placement side of things and the worker side of things and all of that, like what makes the most sense for all of us, because sometimes things might be easier if they were one way, but it might not be allowed, right? So just to keep that balance, I think is part of my role here too, just to maintain perspective of the legal side of things, really, because these people have big hearts, and yeah, we need to also make sure we're doing it the right way and that we can pay for what we want to do.
Well, does anybody have any questions? Feedback. We'd love just, what's your initial thoughts? Anything? No. We need moral support up here. Nothing? Like, oh, okay. Leslie? I need the baby back.
We will be launching a t-shirt fundraiser that will be online, hopefully super, super soon. And it'll be where, I don't know if anybody's also used Bonfire online, but you buy all your apparel there and it'll ship right to your house. And they're a fundraising t-shirt company. And so we will have a bunch of apparel, not just ones with Haven Hills plastered on the front, but fun sayings and pieces of encouragement and just different trendy things to help with just some funds and to just spread awareness about foster care in our community. And then we'll have other awesome stuff along the way too.
Yeah, so that's one part of the thing. We need some money, obviously, to get some marketing materials. We do have some little bookmark things over there that we had printed off, and you guys can definitely take some. My card is also over there right now. We're getting the rest of them kind of all printed. But then there's some one-pagers with some information on there. But if you can just spread the word, like the Facebook page, that kind of thing, kind of getting the word out. But these t-shirts are kind of cool. They're like, there's different ones that say like, be part of the village. Hashtag foster care, and then there's like establish a haven. And then if you can't be a foster parent, foster a community or something like that. So there's really, yeah, yep. I am a superpower, or I have a superpower. I'm a foster parent, and yeah, so there's some really fun ones, but whatever the proceeds that we make off that will, kind of come to Haven Hills. We do have, so thank you guys very much for being kind of our first round, because on Sunday we speak at New Song Church, and actually we have 2 different services there, and whatever offering that they receive during those 2 services will be donated to Haven Hills, because their mission of the month is foster care. So we as Haven Hills are the mission for that Sunday. So, and again, we have connection with the Larks game coming up, but that's not until July 4th. So if anybody knows anybody who, I don't know, has millions of dollars or wins the lottery anytime soon, just please think of us. Yeah. Leslie, you got $1 million? Checkbook. Oh. Okay, question online. Yes. So the question is, do families, no, but I'm hearing from the back. Do families that do not live at Haven Hills can use some of the resources? So it will be discussed. Eventually we will have different things that will be invited to for other foster parents. We do want to kind of keep it, pretty local for our Haven Hills, but again, we only have 12 houses. So the more foster parents that we have involved in our community, maybe you're coming out to do respite, maybe you're coming out, to help do other things. There's an opportunity, but I don't know if that answered the question all that well. I don't have a yes or no answer right now, but there will be opportunities. It will be taken under consideration. Yes. Okay. Any more questions? Well, oh, Mary Jo. Yep. Yep. So Mary Jo and Gordy actually offered to build a house for us. Is that what you wanted me to say, Mary Jo? And $5 million. Yeah, that's what houses and horses. I did go to public school. Okay, so we do have a lot of big name supporters, right? I don't know if you guys know Ashley Ray, how do you say her last name? Klinger. She was Miss International this last year. She's from Grand Forks, and they're moving to Florida. She adopted 4 kids. Oh yeah, you Dane's sister. Yeah, she's moving to Florida. So she adopted 4 kids, and the way she's helping us support, and she's a huge supporter of foster care and adoption, obviously, she adopted 4 kids. But the way that she's helping us is she has a magazine, and she's gonna, what's the word I'm looking for? She's going to pro bono some advertising for us for Haven Hills through her magazine. So sometimes it isn't always just a financial, like I'm going to write you a check for $500. Sometimes it's knowing the person who, needs a big write-off for the year, and you can get us in contact with them, or you can set up a meeting for us to have coffee with them, or so on and so forth.
Laborers like plumbers, heating and cooling people, electricians, all of those folks who may be willing to donate some of their skills to the creation of the homes and other spaces. That would definitely drop the bottom line a lot, because as you know, those kind of things are really expensive.
I'm working with like planning and zoning right now, and a civil engineering company, which to do civil engineering or to survey the land is going to cost about $10,000. And right now I'm working with a company to maybe donate that. So it's that kind of thing. But when we get down to the nitty gritty as far as the house building, materials cost something, right? So we do need that financial support. So if it's a connection, if it's labor, if it's, whatever you guys can help us, and just even spreading the word, put it on your personal Facebook page and someone will be like, hey, what's this? I just wait for Leslie to post, and then I just hit share because I am not a techie person at all. Tax write-offs. Yep, absolutely. So a lot of people, when we tell them our stories of being foster parents, they're like, I don't know how you guys can do it, but how can we help you? And yeah, that is financially is a huge way to support us right now. Yeah, so that's another thing. Single parents right now. So there's lots of questions, and I'm surprised it hasn't come up. It's like, what if you already have a home established, right? Like, Joe and Lane. I always pick on Joe and Lane, right? But Joe and Lane have a home. It's paid for. Like, why would they move out? Why would they uproot all of their stuff that they've been living in for how many years? 12 years and move out to a community, right? Okay, maybe that's not the best option for you. Maybe you're going to provide the respite care, but maybe we have some single moms that live in apartment buildings right now, and they would love to take more kiddos, or they would love to have some space, and they just really can't afford an actual house, so they've been living in an apartment. So, or single dads, yep. So what I was going to say was, if there is a single individual, mom or dad, that wants to move out to Haven Hills, we are going to try to offer some smaller type houses, maybe like 3-bedroom versus 5-bedroom, or maybe we're going to do like a twin home type combo type thing. There's still a couple options up in the air, so that those single parents can have resources really close, and then we wouldn't require them to have a minimum of 4. Maybe they would stick with 2 or 3, something like that. But we know and we're aware of the different situations. So is that what you wanted to hit on, Leslie? Okay. Please, anyone have any questions, comments? Yes. No. Yep. Moving back to residential. So that was one thing that actually when we were talking to Corey was he's like, nope, no residential, like, no like group home type settings. And I was like, no, this is a foster family, right? So like you and Bonnie move out there and you take 3 kiddos. That's all you take then, okay? It's, do you want to comment? Like, okay.
So each family has their own home, and Haven Hills doesn't get involved in your business, the way you run your home, the way you structure your home, all that. We just provide resources for you. So for example, right now I have 4 kiddos that at one point had like 15 weekly appointments every single week standing, and to like do transportation for all that is insanity. And thank you, Peggy, and your team for helping. I don't know how I would do it without you. But so like this community brings that rehab, that therapy out to Haven Hills. So I'm not driving all over the place, taking off of work, that sort of thing. They're coming to us when it's convenient for us. But I have my house, I have my home, I run my family, and Haven Hills stays out of my business other than when I need them and I need to reach out to them for the support that I need for me. So it is very much like you would sign a lease agreement with us, similar to if you were renting a house or renting an apartment or something like that. And then just using the resources, but otherwise it's just, this is your community. And with, well, it's back a few slides, but with 80 acres, right? The picture may have looked like these houses are semi-close, but they're fairly spread out and there's some space between them. So you are definitely having your own space and area for your family. So.
You'll be licensed, yeah. So you'll be licensed like you do normally. So if you're through PATH, the licensing agent will come out every year. You'll do your annual, credentials, all of that kind of stuff. Haven Hills will provide the basic furniture and like fire extinguishers. We will do, furnace checks and whatever else. If a hot water heater goes out, we'll have a maintenance man that repairs it. So that won't be on you. His name starts with a J. He's in the back. He is not rocking the mullet anymore, thank goodness. But so those kind of things are not going to be put on the foster parents, okay, on the foster families living there. Those are put on expenses of Haven Hills. But there will be a minimum charge. We haven't decided what that's going to be yet for you to live out there. So back to like if Joe and Lane, why would they uproot from their house, right? It's already paid off, that kind of thing, right? So maybe we talk to people who are in apartment buildings, or maybe Joe and Lane want to rent out their house and live at Haven Hills, or maybe they have an older kiddo that's going to stay at their house and then they come out to Haven Hills. So it just, everyone's situations may be a little bit different. Does that make sense? But no downsize for retirement. There you go. Buy a motor home and then park it out there. And when you need respite care, just get in your motor home and drive, right? We got all kinds of solutions. I told you I'm into education and solution solving. Did you?
I think it's important to point out that each home can be licensed for 4 kids, not that you're required to have 4 kids, because that's not always going to work, right? Like we might have a sibling group of 3. Yes, but you still would have the ability to say yes or no, this works for our family, just like you do now. I think that's a big difference between this and residential, where it's like you have 6 slots, we're going to fill all 6, right? In this case, it's really focused on individual families and finding the right fit for kids and families, because 4 kids in one home might be really great and it might work, but those same 4 kids in a different home, different dynamic, can be a disaster. And I think everybody in here knows that. And so I just felt like I needed to say, like, they'll be licensed, the space will be available for 4 kids in each home, but that doesn't mean you automatically end up with 4 kids at all times, because you got to weigh behaviors and needs and, just personality stuff too. So
When you're thinking of this as residential, I mean, because from our perspective, what we're saying, we need to make sure we're getting our point across. What are you seeing as residential? I mean, when you're hearing the story, are you seeing something that sounds residential to that?
we had to change our presentation.
Yeah, well, and we need to make sure that aren't. That's not the goal at all.
And maybe to help answer too, we're looking for longer term foster families because it's always chaos when you have constant movement, right? But each lease term would be a 1-year term. So at the end of 1 year, there's, if something's not going right with the family, Haven Hills has a right to say, okay, this lease is not going to be renewed. And then as a family too, you guys have the option every year to say, this is it, I'm done. So it's 1-year commitments, and then move if it's not working for you or, you know, whatever. But so it's trying to provide this flexibility, but then still not having so much chaos and change.
When you say long term, do you mean kids long term? Okay. Yeah. When you say professional foster parents, I just want to say I see all of you as professional foster parents right now. But I think looking at long-term kids, this is obviously ideal, right? So all the services are there. There's consistency. It's good if you're going to have kids long-term. Not everybody wants kids long-term. Not everybody should have kids long-term, right? So the flexibility has to stay there where you still can say, this is our preference. We only want 0 to 2. We only want to do short-term emergencies. We want to be those people that are on retainer. So when you get kids in the middle of the night, you bring them to us and we keep them until you find something else. Like, there will be different types of foster homes, just like there is now. In my mind, it's like a neighborhood, right? And all of your neighbors just happen to be licensed foster parents. So it's like you live at Joe Roloff's house and you have Mary Jo down the street, right? It's kind of like that more than a residential setting. And I think the feel of residential comes with those extra services and respite. I don't think the respite has to be you leaving the home. It can be you staying home because you need a break in your home and your kids go somewhere else. But instead of your kids going south of Mandan, they go, 3 houses over kind of thing.
We talked about this, but I mean, yeah, we're hoping for a year, but if somebody gets into it 6 months and they're done, yeah. And then also part of the vetting process with this is we're going to keep a diverse group. So it's not just everyone who wants babies or everybody who wants 5-year-olds or, there would have to be a certain amount of, so it's a full range of ages and stuff.
So back to Pepper's Ranch, there's a gal there that we did a Zoom meeting with, and her name was Shelley, and she'd been there for 16 years, and every year they just relicensed her basically to live out there. So, and she was in the same home for 16 years and many, many foster kids. So it's a process that we as Haven Hills have to protect ourselves, because maybe we get, like Shawna said, a family that doesn't fit in with our community, right? Or maybe, someone wants to retire then, or, it's a way to get them out or have them to get out too. So does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. I know that's not our intent, but maybe our presentation isn't, and I don't, so I do appreciate you saying that, because and you've been around for a long time, you've seen it, the cycles, you're the person to speak to that, so.
I know.
And I have a thought on the services part, because I can see it from that side too, where residential looks like you go live somewhere, you get your services at you don't go to your services. I see that. So from a therapy standpoint, outside services, because we do the majority of our OTPT speech in home, our consistency level with services is higher, our cancellation rate is lower. We look at some of our families, we have 6, 7, 8 kids in a family, multiple kids and multiple services. If we can bring it to you, and when we started talking about services and bringing services and making it easier, it's our goal to make it easier for foster families, for foster kids. We like it in their natural environments too. So if it's that home-like setting, we just see better progress too, and more more consistency, less cancellations in services, which eventually ends up in better skill set anyways and outcomes in the end. So, or you get the real behaviors at home versus a clinic. It's very different in clinic than it is home.
Okay, Crystal. Yep, fine. Bring them. Sure. I mean, it's something that we'll definitely have to discuss, but yeah, like in-ground fences, whatever. Yeah, but fences make good neighbors. We are going to have pet therapy and equestrian therapy for sure. But Mary Jo, did you have? Right? Coming back, yeah. Right? Mary Jo, did you have a comment? Joe? Oh, wait, we were on vacation with you. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So for you online, Mary Jo just said it's a good idea. Okay. One online question. Do the houses come furnished or do you need to bring all of your stuff? So the houses will be provided with all of the beds, a dining room table for 10 or more, bar stools, and living room furniture, but there will be no dressers, there will be no nightstands, there will be no coffee tables. All of the shelving and bookshelves and dressers and all that stuff will be built in. But there is a huge plan for storage. They're very spacious, over 4,000 square foot homes, so very big. And yeah, they're very big with like a triple stall or a double stall garage, but bigger for bikes and go-karts and everything else. So we're running later, so don't forget your kids. See you next month. Next month, I'm trying to get, I think his name is Mike Bloom. He is the narcotics cop for Bismarck. Is it Mike or Mark? I always forget. Mike. He's going to be doing what? Yeah. Oh, never mind. Okay. He's our narcotics cop for Bismarck, and he's going to come and teach us about narcotics and street drugs and all of that kind of stuff. So